Hello and welcome back to Outta 10. I am your host, Johnny, and with me is Tom. And today we are going to be talking about the very special new album by Mr.
Ed!
O Brien. That's correct. This came out a couple of weeks ago, but quite frankly, we didn't have the mental strength to go through it, so we had to give ourselves some time to reassess. And to reiterate, we haven't we haven't talked to each other about this album yet, and this is a very strange release because Ed O'Brien is not the sort of person you typically expect to come out with a solo effort because of who he is. Why don't you give a rundown, Tom, of what he's all about?
He's about playing that EBO and hitting.
That's what us friends of his call him.
So EBO, you know.
Yeah.
EOB. EOB.
It was really sad when that disease came out and he had to sort of lay low a little bit.
Wow. So the reason it's weird that you're saying that he'd do a solo release is because his thing is fleshing out the soundscapes, sorry.
Soundscapes, yeah.
I hate sound. It's coarse, rough, and gets everywhere.
He does on Desert Island Discs, but that's very rare.
Desert Island Disc?
The song.
What do you mean? Oh, Soundscape. Oh, because it's a desert
Soundscapes.
island. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Wow, you're really slow today,
Yeah,
Tom.
wow.
Jesus.
I wish I could go to sleep.
Yeah, okay, no, that's terrible. Anyway, the point is, he is, for those of you who don't know, he is the sort of secondary lead guitarist for Radiohead, one of the greatest bands just ever.
Second greatest band ever.
Point is one of the greatest, that's all that matters. The point is, his deal is being the thing in the background that you don't realise is there, but if it wasn't there, it would be rubbish. Like if W.H. Smith left your high street, you'd be like, "Oh fuck, where am I going to get my pens?"
They've been rated the worst high street shop for a few years.
Yeah, but where would you get your pens and your notepads? What would you do?
It's true.
TK
true.
Maxx, that's a joke.
Yeah, TK Maxx. TK
stupid.
Maxx is a joke. I really don't endorse it.
It's like you go in there, you're like, "Oh, I want to get this. Is it going to be there?" No idea.
I'll buy this leather jacket.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Stop that.
Yeah, so basically, because he does that kind of amazing fifth member work. I guess I tell you what, this isn't a good comparison because really Nigel Godrich is more comparable to George Martin because they're like two auteur producers who make that band what they are. But I mean, if George Martin wasn't orchestrating that string stuff on the Beatles' work, it would not be as good. But you don't necessarily think about it.
No, true. But I think it's because Ed's sort of legendary status as he's like a god of pedals. That's like his sort of biggest thing.
Isn't he called?
That he's into insane effects.
The King of Gear is his official name.
King of Gear. That's
King of Gear.
That's what I'd forgotten.
That's his official knighted title. Which is nice.
Yeah,
that's great.
It's been accepted because he is amazing. He makes sounds come out of a guitar that
you couldn't make come out your bum, possible. Could you? Yeah, exactly.
He's very much like a new Brian May in that respect.
Yeah, fair play.
And how he does that.
Yeah.
But he also does a lot of backing vocals, which a surprising number of people don't know, I think.
He's a great backing vocalist, and that is important to comment on going into the album where he sings.
Absolutely, yeah.
He's a great backing vocalist. He's one of the greats.
Again, his voice is used in the same way that his guitar is, which is for ultimate atmosphere, essentially.
Yeah.
The running joke.
He's the king of sonics and vibes.
And which is two words which he will constantly say to you if you've ever met him.
Yeah,
it would actually drive you insane.
I bet you went to go see Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sorry, it's a good. Wow, it's a really great drinking game though to do. If you watch his interview on the Pedal channel and just to have a sip every time he uses the word Sonic.
It's that one and the one where he goes into that university.
Oh,
and he
Christ!
That one is unbelievable.
He's such a hippie. It's unbelievable.
It's so weird because he's so posh as well. I think he's probably the poshest member of Radiohead in the way that he comes across.
He's the nicest. He's like the nice one. He's the softie, and in many ways, he's like the George Harrison of the group.
Yeah, fair play.
Which is something which is actually surprisingly relevant to this album, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But we will get to that later. Because he's all in, as you can probably tell by the way that we're describing him, he's big into his spirituality, and his And by the title of this album, we knew it was going to be about being one with nature and all that kind of thing. Not that there's anything wrong with that,
because when they were recording it, Johnny, they had to move room. They were like, "Oh, the sonic's in this room, the vibes, the atmosphere isn't lining up with me, so I have to go to the dining room."
There's an amazing documentary where you can find.
It is a good documentary.
It's really good, and it's not him talking with his other musicians that he worked with. I can't remember the names, sadly.
And they always talk about this this other musician all the time.
It's like musical feng shui, essentially. Yeah. What we're alluding to is where we sort of go, "Oh, this song will sound better in a different room because of the vibe." And, who's to say he's wrong?
That probably
is very
true,
funny.
But it's...
a little bit of psychogeography.
Echo,
I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, but Echo as well, or like the delivery of how you deliver something might be different depending on how hot you are. I don't know.
True. Whatever gets you through it, I suppose.
Yeah. So we've been very good not talking to each other about this. It's been like not seeing your bride until you're at the wedding day. Such a good comparison.
Yeah, absolutely.
Should we? Do you want to just go for it song by song before we talk about the whole thing, or do you want to do?
Maybe. I think it would be worth mentioning beforehand just some stuff that we knew before the album came out. There's nothing to do with it.
It has had a great promotional campaign. Like, genuinely, it's been everywhere, which is weird.
Yeah, it's certainly been everywhere. I mean, it's been, obviously, Radiohead, they're like a big family, so they all, they promote each other's stuff very well.
Yeah.
So, and I think, everyone likes Ed. Why wouldn't they? He's a really nice guy. But I think Ed, by the looks of things, he most enjoyed the most recent 3 Radiohead albums the most. By the most recent Reddit he did, those seem to be the tours he most enjoyed doing. So you'll hear a lot of musical. Well, I expect at least to hear a lot of musical cues from those albums. Also, it's important to know we should probably mention very briefly Tom Yorke's solo stuff that he's been doing, because he's got like 3 albums out, hasn't he now? Maybe 4 if you include Suspiria. Oh, it's bloody called.
Which is really great, but it's just really terrifying.
I suppose, but what I mean is I don't think Ed would have done this album if it weren't for the fact that Tom had made some successful pushes, and obviously Johnny has done.
Well, he's done 2 solo things since Moonshade Pool. So.
Yeah, and Johnny's done soundtracks all over the shop.
Yeah, well, he did the soundtrack for There Will Be Blood. He does the Paul Thomas Anderson movies, doesn't he?
Which is absolutely gorgeous soundtrack.
And
horrifying.
Amazing. He did Phantom Thread as well, I think.
Oh, okay.
Which is also
basically, if you get a Radiohead member to do your music with something, it's going to be a bit haunting.
Yeah.
Or at least supposedly. So I think I agree. We should probably just go through the songs. So first up, we have Shangri-La.
I never really know what I feel so cold.
Yeah, which is probably the most, on purpose, the most accessible song on the album, I would say.
Yeah, probably.
It has a very indie feel, with the sort of nice little percussive bits at the beginning with guitars and harmonies. There's nothing particularly disturbing or creepy coming in. It's very, I think indie's probably the best way I can think of it. Just like strong rhythm and bass, nice percussive layering and all that. It's quite easy on the ears, apart from the chorus, I'd say.
Yeah, the chorus has got a cool... See, I used to think this chorus was just completely ridiculous, and it is. But and I was kind of... I went from thinking it was cool to thinking, oh, this is very daddish, isn't it? And then when I hadn't actually noticed the really grungy guitar below it, and it does make it really cool. Not really cool, but cool.
Yeah, we did very briefly actually mention the lyrics in it. And I think the lyrics in the chorus are a little bit kind of... There's not an awful lot to them. But I think in the verses, there's a lot of nice imagery in the lyrics. They don't stand out massively.
Yeah.
But I think the instrumentation saves it most of the time. But it's all, about that thing we were talking. There's a big, I think, consistency with this album and Ed. The subject matter of him talking about, being one with nature, the lights lighting up the sky. He's big into his spirituality, and it comes across really nicely. There's a lot more positive energy in this song than you can find in most other Radiohead solo works. Yeah, which I think immediately separates him from everyone else.
This whole this album's overall very positive sounding. I mean, this song really reminds me of kind of Simon and Garfunkel in the way that he uses all the percussion and stuff and the shakers, and also the do 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 do, like the do dos and stuff. It's very like Beach Boysy as well.
The harmonies on that. That was really surprising
Yeah.
to me when that came in like that.
Yeah. By the way, I think
But-
the sound of the shaker on this is like one of the nicest, crispest produced shakers I've ever heard. I feel like I'm there. I feel like
Well,
I'm
he's had a lot
holding
of good
that
experience
shaker.
with shakers and stuff on In Rainbows.
That's
and
a good
Making
point,
Computer,
actually. Like the
so-
kind of percussion stuff he does like that.
Yeah. He's
If you
good
want
at
to
it.
see him do it, you can watch a video of his best solos on YouTube.
Yeah, oh,
That's
such a harsh video.
It's such a harsh
video.
They didn't understand, or at least they were just bantering nicely.
Now, go to Live in the Basement for In Rainbows and watch him doing what's it called Reckoner.
Right,
He
yeah.
absolutely kills that tambourine.
Yeah, that's
Like,
some
he's in
that's
love
some
with that
Gallagher
tambourine.
level tambourine
It's
love.
like you
That's
feel like you
quality.
should leave the room because it's kind of awkward that you're in there with them. You feel like a third wheel to the tambourine.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's a good
But
song.
it's also very original sounding. It sounds really original to me,
Shambhala.
even though it's. Oh, don't Shangri. Oh,
It's
terrible
no.
Uncharted.
It's a good song, but it's no Iran with the Pillars. You know, it's no Atlantis of the Sand.
Yeah,
It was the
but I mean,
Spaniards that they never left. That's what they said to him when he got to Brazil.
Right,
and then
tell you
they
what,
found out it was
you
Portuguese.
just get all of your Uncharted references out of the way
I
now.
can't not think
I
of Uncharted 2 when
I
I hear
don't want
it.
them to ever come back to this podcast.
And it just feels so weird because I just imagine like Drake and Sully like singing this while I'm like hiking up a mountain. Doo doo, doo doo.
Honestly, I can actually imagine Shangri-La playing over the end credits
Yeah,
of one of them.
that'd be so cool.
Oh man,
This is
no, just don't. No.
This song is the weirdest thing ever.
But this is what I mean. It's
for
very,
him.
you know,
It's so
it sounds very
surprising
different.
for him. It's so odd. It's so U2 sounding. It sounds like all these really positive groups. I mean, his voice sounds like a real mixture of Tom York and Bono on this. There's moments where he literally does sound like Bono on a lot of the album, by the way. Also, so the specific U2 songs this reminds me of. So like the little lead break, the guitar effect and stuff and that sounds a lot like the song Elevation from the kind of U2 work from around the year 2000. All You Can't Leave Behind, and also like How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb. So they're kind of softer
Soft
rock phase
Yeah.
of U2. That's what this song really reminds me of.
This is soft alt rock. This basically.
Yeah.
In Rainbows, essentially. It's this. If you had to put it on a Radiohead album, I'm
Yeah.
saying, which I probably wouldn't, but
Yeah.
you know, it's that kind of thing. It surprises me that this wasn't the first one he put out for this album, because it's the second track he put out first, which surprises me.
Yeah, because
It's a lot more bizarre.
it's still it is a very strange song, you know. Like and
It's
all
an
the
8-minute
verses.
long thing.
Oh, are you on Brazil? Have you moved on?
No, I'm just mentioning it more than anything.
Okay.
I'm surprised that he didn't put Shangri-La out first.
Well, I
'cause it
don't
feels
think
like
he
the
wants
natural thing
people to
do.
think that he's doing something too normal, you know.
I guess so, but it doesn't sound like. I know it's reminiscent of some other things, but it doesn't.
I mean,
as a whole, it doesn't sound like anything else.
Yeah, I do think Brazil is slightly better than this song,
All right, let's talk about Brazil then.
but
This was
Yeah.
this was the first one he released for this. Not the first one he released at all, because his first song he put on
which isn't.
Spotify
This was Monica.
Santa Teresa.
Santa Teresa, that's it. But it's not on. That's not on here. Which was
That was basically
that's
like his
mental.
new.
I just thought that's mental that he's releasing that and not putting it on. I don't know why. It's just really shot.
Well,
It was quite a. I don't know. Maybe it was just more of
It's his-
him
it was his-
announcing that he's
it
doing
was his
own
new
thing,
Tree Fingers. It was
Yeah.
his new Tree Fingers.
basically.
So I think it was just it was exactly that. It
So
was just
have-
saying, hello, I'm now a thing,
Have you noticed
which
that,
is great.
that he spelled Brazil? Yeah, he spelt it with an S.
An
When,
S.
when Brazil is actually spelled with a Z. Also, Olympic is
Yeah.
obviously spelled
Ooh.
wrong. So this is some proper like desert island disc moment. Because whenever Radiohead write disc like Radiohead Disc 2, they spell it with a K, not a C.
That isn't actually a spelling error though. That's just, there are different dialects, aren't there?
Are there?
That spell it. Yeah, I think that's an American thing
Really?
where they
So,
say disc with a
Do you
C.
reckon this is
Yeah.
how you spell Brazil in America with an S?
No, I don't think so.
I looked it
It's
up.
not
and
like
I think Brazil.
apologise.
I think Brazil spell it with a Z.
It is spelled with a Z. This is something that generally in just life I have a massive problem with. Nightclubs do it all the time, or they spell things incorrectly, like attic with a like only one T. Or,
Well, I mean, the
you know,
last
liquid with a K. It's just I don't hate it.
the
Why would
last
you do that?
4 minutes of this song do have a very kind of like late 90s taking ecstasy vibe. So maybe.
Yeah, a
I
little
don't know.
bit.
I'm just kind of shoehorning it in, really.
Maybe I don't know about that. to be
There's some
honest with
there's some
you.
Ebo in this song, I believe, as well, which is cool. He loves his Ebo,
Yeah.
and then I mean, There's
Wait, what's the EBO?
it's the thing that I think it's the thing like that little magnet thing.
Is that the twisty thing?
I don't. It's the little thing that kind of makes it go like
Oh, it's that.
Like that.
That was a horrifying noise you just made. I really apologise to the listeners.
I hadn't
really
tuned my bow.
You hadn't tuned your throat. No. Well, look again. So Brazil starts off quite normal. It's sort of very sweet guitar layering, a lot of acoustic stuff, which I actually kind of didn't expect from it. I expected it all to be very bizarre,
Going
especially
California
after
vibes.
Shangri-La. Yeah, kind of a little bit.
It's just the way there's the two guitars. I do think one of the cool things about this album is that we get to hear Ed do a lot of acoustic guitar. It's just a different side to him. You know, just proving
absolutely
proving he's a good virtuoso.
Yeah.
My
So
favourite
Brazil
bit of the album is on Brazil, by the way.
Okay,
I think Brazil is
that?
I think Brazil is definitely the best song on the album. And the bit
Okay.
where it goes like I'm on my knees. That bit is such a drop. It's really nice.
Yeah, it's great. I'm not convinced it's necessarily the best one. It was obviously the first one we listened to, so it's hard to say.
Is Shangri-La the one you think is the best? You'd have to tell me.
I don't know
if it's
yet.
not. Okay, cool. This will be
I'll let
very
you know at the end.
interesting. Okay, so yeah, like how.
But yeah, no, he in it again, he's very consistent with his his message again. He speaks of escapism, like the whole point of Shangri-La, which is essentially what that is.
Yeah, it's basically when he's saying he didn't feel so old and cold and all that. He's basically just saying, I didn't realise how sad I was until I came to this nice new place. Which is because obviously he went and lived in Brazil for a bit, right? So then obviously and then he went and lived there with his wife and kids because they'd been doing a lot of touring with Radiohead. So,
but escapism is a big theme in the album, which Brazil taps into quite a lot.
Oh,
especially as it builds into the transcendence of the rhythm and bass section as it goes into the second half. Which, interestingly, which is awesome. I think it's absolutely excellent. I agree.
It's 3 minutes too long. It should end at 5 minutes 40. I've made that note.
Okay.
Because it doesn't change after that point. So when the steel drums come in, it's great. And then it just keeps going, and then it kind of stops and just carry on.
Yeah.
I just got annoyed because I waited for 3 minutes, right? I waited for 3 minutes, and then it faded out. And it's like, why? Look, do something if you're going to make it wait that long. Carry on.
Okay, I was gonna wait till later to mention this, but almost every song on this album is a little bit too long.
Yeah, I don't actually
we'll come
think
to this later.
I don't think that's
almost
true.
not every song.
Yeah, there's two songs.
Almost
that's
every
not true
one
of.
is a little bit too long.
There's definitely two songs that's not true of, which is the first and the last one.
Has a little bit too much in it as it builds towards the end.
How do you think? I like the end of that, where it's like kind of discordant. You got the strange fuzzy lead part, and it sounds a bit like Identikit.
So do I. I like it, but it's like 6 minutes long still.
Is
and
it?
It's kind of
Yeah, doesn't need to be.
No, and
the verses are great though.
Brazil, once it's in its new section, it doesn't need to go on quite so long. But the thing is, what's interesting, the first time I listened to this, that section, this is a very niche reference, but it reminded me of the soundtrack for Doomsday, the Doctor Who episode.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, because the bass.
Listen to that. I'll put a link in the description. The melody of it, everything, and the instrumentation, the layering, it's very, very, and it has a very similar effect of feeling quite tragic. Which again, maybe mirroring the whole point of Shangri-La, which is sort of disappointment and melancholy.
Well, it is a dead city that no one knows where it is.
Yeah.
So
it's also a funny thing where that's coming in. It's going Jenny, and it sounds like Jenny.
Are you hearing Jenny? Is that what you're hearing?
Jenny.
I
think it is tonight.
I hear.
But first time.
Ginger hair. I can't unhear it, and I've also, but sometimes for fun, I go T'Challa. I don't know why.
So we'll put a poll in. Is it T'Challa, Jenny, or what was the other one?
Ginger hair. It sounds exactly like he's saying ginger hair. Maybe
let's look at. I wonder if his son has got ginger hair. Maybe it's like him lamenting over his son.
I mean, it could be. I don't think he really cares if we understand what he's talking about or not. I mean, let's have a. Do you want me to look up what it is?
We almost certainly don't.
Do you want me to look up what
I think it's tonight. I think it's tonight.
How can it be
listened
tonight?
To it a few times. Tonight. Yeah, it must be.
It
he does
like
sing it weirdly.
It sounds exactly like ginger hair.
If he just said it in his usual way and just gone tonight, that would have been much better.
That was mental. Your phone did that thing where it goes mental. Sorry.
Yeah, yours did that thing earlier. That's why I was really in pain.
Oh, Eden
Well, I guess we'll have to stop singing to each other.
It doesn't actually tell me what he's saying on Genius Lyrics. It's not here.
Oh dear.
And I feel the love.
It should do.
bullets.
Well, anyway,
It doesn't-
the point is, when he starts singing that section, it's so 80s.
Oh yeah,
It's mental. It
it's
sounds
great,
like
though.
Tears for Fears or Eurythmics,
Yes!
like his vocal style.
Yeah, no, it really sounds like Tears for Fears. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really bizarre. Again, we were talking about this with the Strokes. Maybe that's a thing now, that the 80s is coming back.
I think it's people's
in new
age.
music.
It's people's ages, partially.
Do you think?
Yeah, you tend to get like.
I guess
stuff
they are
come
from
back,
similar
don't
areas,
you?
aren't they?
Like how so we're 20 years after the Noise, yeah.
Yeah,
They're in the 2000s. What were the Strokes were bringing back the 60s.
Ah,
So
you mean where was the 70s in the 2010s?
Well,
I would love that.
no,
It was nowhere.
Well, you got disco, and then hip hop is very is the most prevalent thing of the 2010s in terms of good music. And that's
disco isn't what I wanted. I didn't want that. I wanted progressive rock.
Yeah, well, you didn't really get much.
I didn't get it.
Like I'm sure
I didn't get it at all.
I think there's a lot more. It's just because it's progressive rock. It became quite underground and stuff. You just didn't hear it.
Maybe you're right.
I mean, David Bowie did do his best album for since the 70s. So.
Oh, I see. Yeah, all right.
I don't know.
That
is clutching
I can't disagree with that.
I mean, that guy was going to die. So what a deadline! What a deadline!
Oh God!
Oh wow, that is a literal deadline. There's no more literal deadlines. Oh, sorry.
I don't know. If you could trust an artist to write an album after they're dead, I'd put that on Bowie.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a human being.
I mean, it was ashes to ashes, and then that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've written down. I think that when the bass comes in, the bit that does sound like Doomsday. Now that you've said it, it's a bit like it sounds like Exit by U2. The amount of U2 references I'm going to talk about is a lot because this album.
I'm kind of worried about how many you're going to bring up.
I cannot believe it. This album is surprisingly the most U2 thing I've heard for a while by anyone. It's so blatantly U2. I didn't realise he liked U2 this much, but it makes sense because their guitarist, The Edge, is all about. He doesn't do solos really. He's all about.
He's the Johnny Marr.
Yeah, he creates a huge soundscape.
Yeah. Well, I think two things. One, I'm not a massive fan of U2, so I'm not going to notice these things that much. The second thing is I think U2 have been recognised as one of their early influences. Not one that really showed its face that much until later, not least until the 2000s, I don't think. But especially when they got a little bit softer.
But there's moments of Moon-Shaped Pool that sound quite U2-y.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. From 2000s onwards, you get it. You don't get it so much in the 90s. Maybe a few bits in OK Computer you could link to, The Tourist has got U2-y elements if you had to push it.
It's probably more about the drumming and the guitar more than Bono and stuff like that. I think.
Oh, yeah, there's no Bono in this at all, apart from the whole environmental elements. So actually, you know what? Now I think about it, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Ed was a big fan of Bono.
Yeah, I think his singing on this.
I'm kind of surprised that anyone's a fan of Bono. I think he's a twat.
There's a song in this later on where his singing. If you were to listen to that and then listen to Bono, you would think they were the same person. I genuinely would stand by that. They sound exactly the same.
Really?
It's the way he does the harmonies. It's in Olympic. When you get to Olympic, the harmonies in Olympic it sounds exactly like U2. So yeah.
Interesting. Okay,
I love the steel pan drum bits. I just wanted to say that quick because the bit with the steel pan drums.
You did mention.
No, it's so cool. I feel like I'm in Crash Bandicoot or something. I love it.
Well, it is kind of trying to exude that kind of tone, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay.
That kind of tropical.
So we've talked about
very outdoorsy.
We've talked about the songs that you and I have both talked about anyway before the album came out. So now we're in uncharted territory. So let's sail on and talk about Deep Days.
Will you stop the Uncharted references? I can't believe this.
I thought I'd got that past you.
Yeah, no, never. Like a bloodhound.
We've got another Crash Bandicoot song coming up.
Oh, Christ.
It sounds so Crash Bandicoot.
Right.
I think this song
Deep
is
Days.
the second worst on the album.
Oh, hang on. Wait, do I agree? I do agree.
Because the chorus...
No, I don't. No, third least good.
Okay. Well,
I don't want to say bad, because it is not bad.
It's not. It's fine. It's a 5.
Right, the start. Please help me out here, because I've been trawling through all of my playlists for like a day, because the first 20 seconds of this song sounds so much like something I know.
It's
and
really...
I can't find it.
I really like it,
I've had to settle on Wings. I think it sounds a bit wingsy at the very start.
Ooh.
But I don't know, and it's really driving me up the wall. If someone can find it for me, like,
Climb Up the
if
Walls.
anyone's listening. No, it's not.
No,
it's not.
it's 'cause you
It's
said
not a
Climb Up the
Radiohead
Walls.
thing.
I was going to say, but
right.
sorry, this is important actually to my overall point about the album. So I do have to quickly say something about Brazil. I'll be very quick. So
Right.
it's the way that he emotes by using very simplistic lyrics, and some of the times it's great. So like in Brazil, by being so simple, it comes across really like what's the word where you're naked?
I'm not helping out on this point. I got no idea what you're.
So you're
about.
like, and you could be easily hurt. So you're like
vulnerable.
Yeah, he comes across very vulnerable, and it's really nice.
Right.
And like he's making himself vulnerable in a romantic way, but then he comes out with like, and this is a problem I have throughout the album. It's like he throws like the flame is gone, those golden nights I spent with you. It's like absolute open mic night poetry. It's not. I'm just saying. Anyway, so
is that a criticism?
It will become an absolute massive criticism.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil what I think the worst thing about this album is, but you'll find out soon. So, yeah,
okay.
I think
I think you may have just alluded to it pretty heavily.
Oh, it gets pretty dire. I mean, anyway, so the chorus of Deep Days, I think there should have been a pre-chorus. It doesn't hit. It's good, but it goes on for too long, and it's like, where you go, I will go, and it just keeps going, and
I disagree.
I think it gets laughable by the end.
No. All right, okay. Here's why I don't think so. I think it's a little bit, as I say, almost every song on this album is a little bit too long. This is not a unique thing to this song on the album. But it's, like I say, it starts really nice. Also a little bit Fleetwood Mac in there. That might have been what it was, actually.
Maybe.
The intro sounding like, maybe. But very outdoorsy. But then, he gets his Jim Morrison on for that chorus. It's
really
great. Yeah, it sounds so much like a Doors song, the way he sings. Listen, I mean, by all means,
I've written down here that he sounds like Gary Barlow.
Get the fuck out.
No, he does. He really does sound like, you can fall on me, yeah.
Right, the last line.
That's so kind
of funny. No, I think sort of chanting chorus works well with Ed's voice. It's because it's very soft. I don't like the Gary Barlow comparison. I find that very hurtful.
Well, I think
Gary Barlow.
I think this song is one of the worst songs Ella Brown's ever written. It's not a 6, it's a 5. So
he's only written 10 songs.
Yeah, but I'm including Radiohead here. He
hasn't written any of them.
Yeah, well, he writes his parts. I'm sure he's contributed. Anyway, it's also got a really boring instrumental. Did you notice it? It's literally nothing.
The little guitar interlude.
It's not really a guitar interlude, is it?
Well, it's not a solo.
It's just like they're just like,
it's very short.
It's like 20 seconds. It's like, I need to get back to the chorus, so I'll just do this for a bit. Okay, I'm at the chorus again.
Yeah,
it's
again,
weak.
but that is only a symptom of the slightly larger problem of the songs being padded out a bit too much.
Yeah, which to be fair,
it's got that feeling of because this is his McCartney 1. This is him bravely attempting to find himself.
It's not like he's been
writing any of these. It's not like he's been writing any of these songs while in Radiohead. This is a new venture for him, and I think it doesn't shock me at all that every idea is sort of built out to its most extrapolated form, which will lead it to being bloated at times, which is annoying. But I don't find it an issue most of the time. But it can be. It was in Brazil, and it does come up later as well. This one less so. I never found it a massive problem. I only like it really because like so many things that go wrong on this album, he keeps it really tight to the theme of the album. The living on the road, ideas of, staying outside, going on forever into the night. It's very, it's quite evocative. It's not very complicated, and it's not very new, I grant you. And okay, fine, the end of the chorus, he does sound a little bit funny. I didn't really notice it, but when thinking about it, fine, may sound a little bit odd. It's one of the lesser songs on the album. I will agree with you.
It's still not awful though. It's not like a bad song. It's just not.
I think it's just important to say that he's still musically very competent.
Yeah, the music. Okay, but there's no song where the music isn't really good.
Yeah,
but
that is really important to mention because that is no small thing.
The only stuff that lets him down is kind of song structure sometimes, and then by it being too long, and these kind of bits where it sounds like in the song there's a bit. It really sounds like he didn't know what to do, and then on top of that, it's the lyric. Okay, this is definitely. I think that some of the lyrics on some of the songs on this album are dreadful. And then also,
I think Dreadful is too strong. A
no,
word
there's a
for
song
what they
one
are.
coming up where it is one of the most awkward things I've ever heard, like a good
Okay.
musician do. And then, so the lyrics and also sometimes delivery, like you can tell he's not a front man. Like it doesn't necessarily suit him. So sometimes it works. I think Brazil overall and Shangri-La, they work. This one doesn't work. There's ones later on that really do work. It's very mixed. What you said about the chanting and stuff's interesting, how it suits him, because he's very much about kind of getting it, like, you know, he's a vibey guy, so chanting makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't think it works here, but it works in other places.
Okay. Well, fair enough.
But saying this is the second least good song on the album, like, there's a lot worse you could do than that.
Third.
Oh, you said third. Third and second, you know, like 2.5. I don't know.
All right. 2.5. The 2.5.
Yeah, I like how the song ends. By the way, with it fades out, but the drums keep going, and then it crashes out. It's kind of nice. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I was
I
very
dig it.
excited by this song when it first came on. There's a few songs on this album that when they first came on, and I was sitting there, I'll admit, doing some Lego, and it came on, and I was like, "Oh, this sounds cool."
Yeah, no, Deep Day starts really nicely.
That's really well. It just
And
doesn't
to be honest,
go anywhere.
it doesn't really hold that tone for the song, which can be a little bit.
Yeah, if it had held that kind of cool, I don't know how to describe it, kind of Caribbean-y sound.
Yeah,
Well, that would have been cool.
Yeah, sort of jungly music. I guess so. Okay, so what about Long Time Coming?
Okay.
The fourth song.
Do you want to start this one, or can I start?
I'll let you start since you seem to be a little bit overzealous.
Okay, so when the guitar kicks in, it is so gorgeous. Oh, it's so nice. And I feel like I'm listening to like one of the really nice songs off of Chelsea Girl by Nico. Also, this is a very Coldplay sounding song, the way he plays the acoustic on this. It's very like their songs off of Milo's Lotto, UFO and Us Against the World. In this kind of constant playing style. The verses are really nice. I love the way that the chords have this got like this really nice resolve. It's really nice. So they're all my positives. I think the lyrics are pretty crap. Like they're just really, again, it's just these kind of medieval sounding, like the whole "this flame is gone" thing. It's like this lonely city girl steps out into. It's just so unspecific that it doesn't feel. He's not painting the full picture for me. He's not gone the whole way.
Okay.
It
now,
works
in Long Time Coming.
Yeah.
I think I'll agree. The lyrics are fairly underwhelming, and I think they're less good than Deep Days. However, they are very sparse. There is not much singing in this song. It's very compact in that sense. The verses take the back seat to the instrumentation completely, I'd say, for this and a couple of other songs. But I agree, the lead guitar lines are very pretty. Funnily enough, to me, it actually feels more reminiscent of a softer sort of King of Limbs kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like in terms of the way Ed's guitar comes in. Yeah, those bits sound so much like the Pepperland themes that George Martin wrote for. Yeah, it does. No, listen to the Pepperland. You laugh. It's a beautiful piece of music.
No, my Uncle John loves Pepperland.
Well, good for him.
He thinks it's great.
Whatever his deal is, you know. But no, it's because it's got a really nice, again, it's an enchanted land kind of thing. And again, he talks of the person trapped in the city wanting to escape and start their real life. This whole thing about self-discovery is again reiterated.
I feel like I really missed a really obvious thing, because now whenever you're talking about the self-discovery thing, it has raised the album slightly, in my opinion. By the way,
well, this is
it is actually much tighter than I'd considered.
It's one of the most consistently themed albums I've heard in a while. Weirdly,
yeah,
it's not a particularly innovative one, but it doesn't feel like much of a collection of songs. It feels extremely cohesive, even when it's not living up to the standards that you sometimes think it should be.
Yeah, well, if Radiohead do anything, it's make a coherent album.
Absolutely, and there's also a bit of Velvet Underground's third album in here, a little bit.
Oh, maybe that's why I thought it sounded quite like Nico-y. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I forgot you said Nico. Yeah. I mean, really anything Velvet Underground that's soft, so that's why I picked the third album, really. But it doesn't particularly develop or add much, except for the whole thing about the cities. It's consistency for the album is good.
Again, I wouldn't say the lyrics are bad, they're just too generic. Like, the music tells me I'm somewhere special, but the words don't, like, paint an interesting picture so I can be there. Do you get what I'm saying? The music is just so much more special than everything else going on. It's just annoying.
Yeah, I think
and
it's
you feel
the
frustrated.
most underwhelming.
Yeah, I think this is better than Deep Days. The song.
Oh really? No,
because the music's better, whereas Deep Day bores me a bit because it's just. I think the chorus of Deep Days is just so boring.
I think if Deep Days was the same length as Long Time Coming, you'd feel differently.
Maybe
Deep Days is over bloated.
You've made a really good point about the lengths of songs. I hadn't really considered it.
Yeah, Long Time Coming.
To be honest, that's
funnily
why
enough, it's probably one of the only ones that. Ooh, it appears that Tom has run away. So I guess I'm just gonna have to fill in for him. You back?
We're back. It's alright.
He's back. He's back.
Cool.
He went away, but he's back.
Okay.
Oh, thank God for that.
I like the windy vibes and like the background sounds. They've got like kind of vibraphone sound towards the end. That's quite nice.
Yeah, I think this is probably the only song on the album that doesn't. Well, no, one of a couple that doesn't have the length problem. I do not this is the right length. Even though I think the song's a bit underwhelming, I think it's the right length. It doesn't outstay its welcome.
I really agree,
and it gets on with it. You know, that's good. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think the reason this album is definitely better to listen to outside, obviously because the escapism and the nature vibes, and that's the King of Limbs comparison. But then also you've got like the whole. But I wonder if it's better to listen to outside because you get caught in the atmosphere he creates in the songs. And this song's got a great atmosphere, and because you get caught in the atmosphere, you don't notice the bad stuff about the songs. Like
it's very tonally consistent.
The lyrics, you know,
such a campfire album.
Oh,
that you could absolutely keep it there. Yeah, well, like you said, it's like King of Limbs, which is the one that was the main tour he said he had the most fun with.
Yeah, so he's probably trying to recreate that for himself, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the album by Radiohead that he got to sort of expand on his thing. His thing the most, and so he probably carries a lot of that on here.
Yeah,
which is probably the only thing I can think of that makes the heavy leaning onto acoustic guitar make sense.
Yeah,
but who's to say? May I start talking about Mass?
Yeah.
So this, again, like Brazil and later on Olympic, this is a much more sonic central song. Doesn't go full on the whole lyrics thing. When they do turn up, it's quite nice. It's nothing incredible, I wouldn't say. The lyrics don't stand out, as you will probably mention.
They're not. I'm sure. They're not the important thing at all, and they don't bother me at all in this song.
It's seemingly sort of unresolving acoustic rhythm, which is then wonderfully cut across with something that I think a lot of you might not like. When I first heard it, I thought you might be a bit unconvinced by it, but these sort of weird, thick, sort of powerful sort of blasts on the guitar that sort of sound like sirens.
No, I do like that. It's so like
I think are absolutely amazing.
It's so like Hans Zimmer Inception trailer.
It comes out of nowhere. Yeah. I love it, and I think it has a quite, especially those bits. It has a very sort of cosmic feel, like something you'd hear in a planetarium. No, honestly, but the thing is, it's called Mass, which is the whole deal. People, planets.
Is it not because Brazil is a heavily Catholic country?
Is it?
Is it?
Oh, you said it.
Well, I thought they were. I mean, they have Christ the Redeemer. I don't know.
Oh shit! No, that's true. Actually,
yeah, I thought they were.
Oh, I prefer the idea that it's cosmic.
I don't mind
because he's really into all that.
Yeah, it could be.
Bet you he's into stargazing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Come on, outdoorsy.
Yeah,
we
know the outdoorsy.
You're probably right.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know what these stars are that he speak of. I've heard they're nice. Whatever.
So do you like this one?
I really like.
Oh my goodness! Can I tell you something?
You can tell me something.
It's not I think it's the second best, but it's definitely my favourite.
I
adore this. I honestly think for what it is, it doesn't screw up at all. Like
it develops beautifully.
Well. Oh yeah, everything that happens in it is great. Everywhere it goes is on point. It's also actually probably the most Radiohead sounding song on here.
I have this on my notes.
It's so. It just sounds like I'm just in Radiohead land right now. This is amazing.
No, seriously. Numerous times listening to this, I honestly thought I could see Amnesiac poking through. Like, what are you doing here? Get out of it, you!
Get out of my book!
Get out of my album, you scamp.
Yeah, no,
absolutely.
I adore it. So, no, I
That's really annoying
I
that
really
your favourite one is the most Radioheady one.
Yeah, but it's going to be. I mean, there's a reason.
Yeah, true.
This is both the positives and the negatives of this album. The positives being you can kind of see Ed's thing a bit more, or like him a bit more, but also like no. Radiohead is such a good band that no solo. It's the thing with great bands.
There's nothing he could do that could outlive that shadow.
Well, no, because
and that's not even a bad thing. Because when it comes up on a song like this, it's great.
It'll be possibly impossible for him to do it because they're so great because they're the sum of their 5 parts. Is better than their individuals, you know. But so I mean, you know what you could do, by the way. This is fun. So you know at the start of the song, that guitar bit, you can play "I Promise" over it. And it sounds perfect because it sounds so much like it, and also you can play bits of a reminder. So I was thinking about doing like Iron, like an
mixtape,
or like an Iron Man 3 record spin, like you know he does at the start of that where he has the 2 songs going on. I don't know.
A Promise Reminder remix.
Yeah, I promise.
Perfect.
Yeah,
make it happen. Someone on YouTube do that.
The falsetto stuff at 2 minutes 30 in is very Moon-Shaped Pool. It's just there's a lady's voice on the end of this, which is really lovely.
I think that may be Laura Marling.
Comes up later. Who's great, and we'll talk about that later.
She was in the studio for a lot of it.
Absolute legend. So yeah, and also it's just a classic. Like Ed loves a little instrumental mid-album break. I know it's not quite an instrumental, but basically it
suits him.
It's so no
that guitar effect that punches in. That's so Ed O'Brien.
Oh yeah, but also you know that lovely acoustic stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so nice. Honestly, like this is.
I think you can. Like people listening could probably tell we really like.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, there's not much on this album that I will come back for. Not because it's bad, but just because it is nothing that is stand out enough. But this I will come back for. Like this will be on my favourites playlist.
I think this will be easy for most
Radiohead fans to like.
Yeah. There's a lot to like about this song.
It's just so cinematic. I'll tell you what, and it also lets you. The great thing about a good like mid-album track like this is it just lets you as a listener take a step back and get to grips with the palette of what that artist is using. Like there's so many. I'm surprised more people don't do it because like you know on Pet Sounds they've got one on there. Let's Go Away for a While. Like Beirut does some. Fleet Foxes do it. It's just all these really lovely groups do it because they're like you know what, let's just chill out like.
Thinking about it, this is really the only one that I would be able to cite properly to explain Ed O'Brien's typical style.
Yes, I also
in his non-solo stuff, which is weird. It doesn't come up as much.
Yeah, because otherwise there's bits like the end of Olympic and the end of Brazil. You know, they make sense.
True.
But otherwise, but I think that's so impressive. I think it's so great that he's managed to do that. I do think this is the second best song on the album. I think it's quality.
I agree.
Where have you placed Brazil? Do you know?
I don't know. I'm finding it very difficult to rank them. I know what my top. I know what my top 4 are, and I will tell you at the end.
Okay.
Brazil and Mass are both in it.
Yay!
Don't worry.
Is Shangri-La not in it?
I'm not going to tell you.
Can I tell you why I've put Shangri-La? Or should I tell you later?
You should tell me later. We should probably do the rankings if we're going to do it at all at the end.
Okay.
But really, I don't feel comfortable doing it. I'll give it a go. I can tell you what my top 4 are at the end.
Are you ready to move on to the next one? Because I'm not going to lie, we're in for an absolute shitstorm.
We're in for a treat.
Really?
With Banksters. Now look, before you say anything, I think it's really important to say, and when I say this, I think it will make you understand the bloodbath of an argument we're about to have much more. So, this song is extremely, extremely Hail to the Thief. Okay? Now, I'm a humongous sucker for Hail to the Thief, even when it's being way too far, which I completely agree this song is, okay? But I'm an absolute sucker for this kind of thing, okay? So, I really like this song, but I know I'm going to let you tear it to shreds, and then I'll just see what I can do with the remains, yeah?
I can't believe you like this.
Yeah.
I honestly did not expect that. I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Like I feel blood go to my head. I feel like I'm on reality TV and I didn't know.
Yeah, you've got to be kidding me.
I genuinely think, I mean this, I have thought about this.
bet you have.
I think this is the worst thing Ed O'Brien's ever been involved in.
Okay, well, hang on a second.
I think it's worse than the worst song on. I think it's Stop Whispering levels. I think it's a bit better than Stop Whispering.
Stop Whispering levels.
It's awful. I wouldn't even give this song a 5. I think it's poor.
Right. Okay. Well,
I think
we've got quite a ladder to climb.
Yes,
up,
I think it wants to be Hail to the Thief.
Okay.
And I think it's so awkward. I think this song. I think the lyrics on this are terrible. It's just a joke.
Okay.
I just think the whole thing's a joke. An absolute joke. It wants to be Go to Sleep.
Yeah, it's very good.
But it doesn't have, like, even when Tom York's doing that, it's not like he's going, why are all the politicians mean? Do you know what I mean? Like, he just sounds like an absolute... It sounds so GCSE. The song is so... it's everything... It's like the same reasons you don't like Muse. It's like that. It's just... Right, let's have a look at my notes so I can stop being stupid. Yeah, I've written, if I imagine him touching his nipples, this song would be better.
Okay, look, I'm not your psychologist. Okay, I think you
just imagine him doing that to "Where did all the money go?" Sorry.
Right, I mean, if I'm honest, that is only an image that you could have thought of.
Yeah.
I think that says a bit more about you than it does about the song.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I want you to...
It sounds like you were in a bad place when you heard this.
I've heard this song a lot, and every time I hear it, I feel embarrassed to be listening to it.
Now, what exactly about the song made you suddenly start wishing to... You actually wrote down in your notes that it sounds like he's talking about his nipples. Am I right?
No, I said I...
Is that what you're saying?
No, I just say this song would be more fun to listen to if you imagine him, like, doing an awkward nipple dance, because that's literally what the song sounds like.
I'm not entirely sure that is a criticism. I don't think it's an admiration either.
So it's got
I don't think that really means anything.
It's got the first or second worst line on the album. The bit where he goes, "Some days it just feels like heaven, and others it just feels like hell." So awkward. It's terrible. Like, he's going for cliches. Like, that's just one of the least interesting lines I've ever heard in a song. Also, I don't know. I have acknowledged, and this might be the case, that it's hard not to be cynical because he's in Radiohead. So, because it's not as nuanced or as high quality, I can't help but think he's trying to be like Radiohead, and then finding it awkward because it doesn't come off as well. So there is, I understand there is a part of it. Otherwise, yeah, I don't know. It just sounds like he's going, yeah, we're breaking free from those banks, man. Taxes, am I right? I also think it's just such a dad song. It's such a dad version of cool rock. And I think does he say fuck? Because it doesn't work, because it sounds like he's saying your fart. Your fart.
Yes, he does say you fuck.
It sounds terrible. Yeah, that's terrible. See, this is what I mean. It's just that even that is just them kind of. It's that. Oh, it's just so juvenile. It's so Pablo Honey. It's just like, yeah, you little.
Well, what is it, dad or juvenile? I mean, which is it?
It's an older guy trying to be cool, so it's just awful.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll try and address everything. You said a lot.
I do want to like it.
I'm gonna have to. I'll try and address it in reverse order so I can remember.
To be fair, this song would be better if he hadn't sung it. So if someone else sung it, it would be better. Carry on.
Well, that in itself, I think, is reason enough not to. I don't know. That kind of undermines your previous points.
But it's part of the way that he has sung it makes it sound worse because he doesn't. He doesn't sound cool. If someone who sounded cool did it, it's fine.
Okay, right. I mean, a couple of things there. If that's true, which I may be willing to concede, that to me would raise the song in my estimations, because the delivery of it can come across a bit flimsy. I agree, but that's by the by. He's the only one who can sing it. If it doesn't come across well, I find it difficult to hate on him too much. Anyway, right. So him saying "you fuck," right? Funny, so that's like I thought that would be your main thing to have a go at. To be honest with you, I kind of assumed that you would, and it makes sense. I'm in two minds about it, because on the surface, it's like, okay, this is like a hipster vicar trying to be, cool and in front of people and try and stay relevant to the kids, and I fully agree with the dad thing. And the thing is, it's kind of hard, kind of impossible for him to not come across like that. And I think Tom York's most recent stuff is getting to that point as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where it sounds
and
like he's trying to do something really cool, and it's not.
But
always...
the thing is, and yeah, I completely agree. That line would have suited Tom better, saying "you fuck," because Ed is such a nice guy.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But but on the other hand, that's kind of why I found it quite charming, because it's kind of intentionally amusing that this guy, that Ed just sort of, he's never expressed anything about being rude or being angry. He's never really mentioned it, and I quite like the idea that he's silent, but he's actually furious. Bit like, your George Harrison's kind of thing. Again, I'm going to draw a lot of comparisons with him. So, if anyone has a problem with that line being in there because it sounds a bit awkward, no problem with that criticism at all. I think it's weird. It doesn't bother me, but I completely understand why it would. Yeah, the dad thing. Muse, right. Okay. I don't like Muse. It's not just because Matt Bellamy sounds like a baby, okay? He can't really help that, the fact that he sounds like a baby. He sounds like an adult baby wailing constantly about things that don't matter. But that's not the reason I don't. The reason I don't like them is they're extremely whiny in a way that is completely disingenuous. Ed doesn't come across as insincere in the song. He comes across as a bit strange, I grant you. But I don't think at any point he comes across as being dishonest. This is something, and lyrics, I don't have an awful lot to defend, because I agree, again, it's a little bit flimsy, but I like, I like its inclusion, especially the "In God We Trust" thing. I think that's kind of fun. I like that. And him having a go at Wall Street is kind of in line with him, criticising cities in previous songs, which kind of lines up. Again, doesn't massively fit in the album. But again, I think the chorus, in the first chorus, he doesn't say "you fuck." And that chorus, I think, sounds great, especially the guitar with the acoustic, and it's got like an almost siren-like lead moment going over the top of it, which again sounds very sort of, optimistic or go to sleep kind of thing. It's got more energy than any other song on the album, and it needs that. And I really appreciate that it does that, albeit a little bit weird. And I'd like to see him try and do another song like this again on his next album when he does it. But yeah, I'd like him to execute it a little bit less in your face. But actually, also, at the end, it gets a lot softer. And it has a lot of bits which sound a lot like Dex Dark, at the start of the numbers, with all the sort of nice little soft piano layering. Maybe if you introduced a little bit more of that in it, It's also very early Queen, which I think kind of explains a lot about your feelings towards it, because it's very dramatic. But, it's very difficult to... The more dramatic you are, the harder it is to come across as being, a sane person. Especially like Roger Taylor. I can imagine Roger Taylor doing this a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, again, I'm a sucker for this sort of song because it just puts me in mind of House of Thief.
Though it's like being someone who loves a good burger. Yeah, like a really good burger.
I'm with you.
And then I guess it's just like a McDonald's when you're a foodie.
I like where you're going with this. What it's like, it's like if someone who's not very good at cooking gets all the ingredients for a burger that you love, and then, and he kind of botches it up. He burns a bit at the edges. He kind of chops things up a bit shit. It's all kind of falling off, but everything's still there, and it's to the extent you were like, if you tried this again next time, this would probably be better.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree that this album needed this, because I will think that, because I genuinely think this is a bad song, especially because it's just the melodies and stuff. It sounds like the kind of songs you learn at primary school, and not in a good why can't we be friends kind of way.
Well, again, I don't really know what you mean by that.
It's just so meh. I can't explain why something's really meh. It's hard to explain why something is meh.
I can tell. But the first line it's bonkers. It's batshit. It's all over the place. I love it.
When he comes in, the first verse.
He yodels. The yodeling start.
Yeah.
Tell me that sounds like a primary school song.
I guess if that's what he's going for.
He's just. Look. This is what I mean. He's gonna try a lot of new things. And in the same way that I didn't.
This is why. Yeah, I know. I'm happy to admit. I'm glad that you're admitting that you're just a sucker for it, and it's not necessarily as good as you enjoy it. That's great.
I don't actually think that. I genuinely think it's as good as I like it.
No, but you can't be, because even when you explained it, you were basically just saying, yeah, it is rubbish, but that's how I heard it.
No, because I think the execution is a bit flimsy, but I think all the component parts are there.
There's no great riffs. There's no great melody. There's just nothing. That's how I feel.
Okay, hang on. Where on this album are there any riffs?
Well, it's true, but I mean, these kind of songs are the kind. But these kind of songs are the kind of songs that require great riffs. It's meant to be a cool. Am I right in thinking this is meant to be a kind of cool grungy song, like a Go to Sleep or?
It's like a Go to Sleep. Go to Sleep doesn't have a riff.
No,
it has a good chord progression in the chorus.
Yeah, but it's just
especially.
Nothing. I don't know. It's the
same way
money
that Go to Sleep does.
I don't know. I just find this really awkward. It's like those Lehman Brothers, yeah. Oh, the recession hit me so hard, man.
Okay, but the thing is, it's funny you say that because I'm going to get quite political here, so I do apologise. But there is a thing. I mean, it's hard to say because he kind of lives in America. He sort of lives all over the place, Ed. But he is quintessentially an English person, so I'm going to stick with this. But everyone and their cat has blamed sort of anyone they can think of for the financial crash, even as far back as, and people are still going on about it. It was in 2008, and no one really has pointed to the bankers, who are the people who actually caused it. And I think it kind of makes, and again, he's a dad, he's likely to reminisce and be like that.
Yeah, and he's probably thinking, I can't get my kids to a good university, I have to pay for their... I don't know.
He doesn't want them to go to university. He wants them to just stay in a forest and learn to survive on tree bark and sap and stuff. But what I mean is, he, as a dad, I imagine he's likely to want to remind people of to not make similar mistakes like that. It's kind of like okay, look, the Daily Mail. Now this is obviously not saying it's as good as the Daily Mail song. Okay,
yeah, it's a great song.
But if you listen to the lyrics and everything going on in the Daily Mail, it's very much like your dad telling you about something that you're like, yes, I know.
But the delivery is great.
Yeah, the delivery.
That's the difference.
Execution.
Yeah, but
I know, I agree. I agree. That is the problem.
His delivery is not good. It's not even good. It's really it's just like you're watching a terrible band.
It is good. It's just not great. It's not consistent. It's good in bits and it's bad in other bits.
Obviously, the delivery in the song "The Daily Mail" is absolutely...
No. I'm talking about this song.
Yeah, I know. I was saying by comparison. I mean, that's world class delivery compared to average delivery.
Yeah, I know.
But this is my point.
I'm not dragging that in to compare it quality. I'm saying that it's doing that similar thing. Okay,
but it's so hard for me not to compare it because he's in Radiohead.
No, but
I admit that's my problem.
That's
my problem. It's not the problem of the song. It's so hard.
No, exactly.
It's
I'm trying to disabuse you of that notion.
Thank you. Thanks for trying.
I'm trying to help you here. I'm just trying to draw attention to the fact that it's not, the fact that Ed has done this, and I mean, okay, say what you will, it's not a steaming pile of horseshit is kind of a miracle to me.
I think
I did not, of all of the Radiohead things, I did not expect him to go for this tone. And I think he does it pretty well. I don't think he did it perfectly. I don't think he could do it differently next time. But I can't hate it because it's not bad. And it's cool and it is very enjoyable.
At 3 minutes 14, he has the shimmery delay sound from the start of Deck Start, by the way. When you're talking about that.
He also comes in near the end.
Yeah, it comes back at 3:14 and it carries on. Yeah, and it's got very mad. Talking about Hail to the Thief, it's got very kind of gloaming style, kind of electronic drums.
Yeah, it's quite apocalyptic. He hates cities. He hates all that stuff. He made that very clear in the previous couple of songs.
Yeah.
I
think we have to agree.
Even if I were to agree with the notion that it's shite, it is still actually consistent with the album's theme.
Yeah, which I hadn't considered. So
yeah, I
mean that's good.
All right, we'll tell you what. Let's move on to something that we're both going to agree on is really nice.
Oh, this song's great. Sail On is great. No, this song
So this is actually the sequel to Sail to the Moon. Yes.
Is it?
No, it's not. But I'm calling it now. People are going to be saying this at some point later. Probably. And it's going to be bullshit, obviously. But the fact that it has Sail in it.
This song could be.
Maybe it's this. Maybe it's the sequel to the song Sail by Owl Nation. Ooh. Anyway,
This song could be a bit
You know that
better,
song?
but no. But I don't.
Sail.
What?
You've never heard the song Sail?
No.
You are in a minority. That song was huge back in, like, I don't know, 2012 or something, whenever it came out.
Really?
Yeah.
I think
That actually surprises me.
Well, I was
put that on your
too
list.
busy
It's
listening
actually
to
quite
Black
good.
and Gold or something.
It's actually all right. I mean, it doesn't deserve the praise it was given. Anyway, look,
Um,
sail on.
Yeah.
It feels very much like he's kind of doing the long time coming thing again. It's softer.
Oh,
Don't have a problem with that.
I would.
Don't have a problem
I
with it.
think Sail On. It's got, apart from Mass, it's got my favourite of the soundscapes. The soundscape in this is incredible.
Yeah.
Like the guitars at the back, like the kind of like bits of electric guitar that break through, pushing it a bit far, but it does make me think of like foghorns and stuff. Also, this is one of the best lyrically on the album because he's got a consistent idea that he and actual imagery that he uses.
Gorgeous imagery
to work with the music to then sing about death and interesting subjects. Okay.
Well, that's the thing. It's beautifully, perfectly imagined sonically as well as in the.
If it is too long, it's only too long by about 30 seconds as well.
Yeah, it doesn't matter too much because it has a lot more going on in terms of what feels like a narrative.
This is
the lighthouse.
This is a good song. This is a good song. It's very Radiohead. It's actually quite Radioheady and Coldplay sounding as well. It reminds me of the Coldplay song Oceans, which I think does this thing a bit better, but this is still good.
Now this may be the ocean thing that's sort of influencing it, but what was that? The Pink Floyd album that came out quite recently.
Oh, Endless River, which is also literally a soundscape album.
Yeah, it really reminded me of listening to that. Something you'd fall asleep to, which is really nice. And again,
yeah, I have
setting out.
I have listened to this in bed a lot.
Yeah, it makes sense. Well, setting out on the journey of life is kind of his thing, and he's really into that. I think. How old are his kids? Are they nearing adulthood? I'd be really interested to know because a lot of this is about spreading your wings and self-discovery. Fly, yeah. Oh, don't get me singing that. I'm going on forever. I will sing the entire thing. Yeah, because he's really leaning into it. It's interesting. The funny thing is, the last thing we reviewed was what's his name, Julian Casablancas, talking an awful lot about his kids,
about the same stuff. Yeah.
About being fairly newly a dad. I don't know how long Ed O'Brien's been a dad. He's a fair bit older, so it's hard to tell. I'd be interested. I think after this, I might actually look that up because that might be interesting.
Yeah, I can't find it on his Wikipedia.
Well, that's probably good. To be honest, we probably shouldn't pry. It's his family life.
Yeah, but it's just interesting.
It's one of those things. I don't have an awful lot more to say about Ceylon, to be honest with you, because it is very much. It's just that, really. It's the soundscape, very pretty, very good imagery.
But like,
everything
comes together in this. Like, there's no like fat to it. Like, all of the imagery does lend to the lyrics. I think the real good thing about this is just, and it's the same as in Shangri-La and Brazil. Actually, is the lyrics coming together with the music that I don't think it does on, all the songs I haven't praised.
Yeah.
So. Well, I mean, I guess
very delicately put.
I mean, no, I guess it does come with the music on Banksters because I just don't think any of it's good. I'm not going to talk about Banksters again. There's no point.
That's fair.
There's no point us talking about that again.
We'll come back to it at some point in the future.
Yeah, maybe I'll like it in like 10 years when I'm not cool anymore.
Hey, look, we're not cool. Come on. The thing is, I could be wrong as well. I may, in a couple of weeks' time, it may wear off, and I may just get fed up of it. But the thing is. That's how it happens. The first, Hell to the Thief, that took you a while to get into, didn't it?
Yeah.
And who knows, anything could happen.
I mean, anything could happen with this at all. It's a Radiohead linked thing. I normally start with every Radiohead album thinking it's terrible. And then, like, after a year, I go back to it. And I'm like, I've been quite good at that. The only album I liked straight away is Kid A and, like, Amnesiac, and that's just ridiculous. Like...
Wow, that is ridiculous. Those are the two that I struggle with. Once you get through those two, you can deal with anything.
Yeah.
That's mad. Apart from maybe Metal Machine music. Don't know.
Yeah. Sorry, having a drink.
Oh dear. Yeah, that's fine. You're forgiven.
Yeah. I really don't have that much to say about this one apart from just it's genuinely really good and
absolutely same.
I think
it's a good palate cleanser for what comes next.
Yes.
I would say.
I mean, I think. Can I talk about this one first?
You can.
Okay. I think this song goes on a curve from being really not necessarily bad, but very weird to being really great. Like by the end, like the whole guitar stuff by the end is like an absolute jam. This
it's very experimental.
I think this song is the weirdest thing that he did on this album. It's like the least Radioheady thing that you can do, which is something that sounds. It's so Happy Mondays. Like
it's not though.
Yeah, it's so like a kind of like dance, like kind of dance rock, kind of you're twisting my melon, man, kind of like,
okay. Think what your descriptor of the song earlier about how it develops really puts me in mind, and the song itself puts me in mind of Full Stop, which I agree is not a particularly stereotypical Radiohead song.
But it's not the same as Full Stop sonically, shall we say? Like it's
maybe not the way it develops.
Yeah, the way it develops, sure. But I mean, there's plenty of songs in existence that get bigger as they go or develop.
Again, it's got a lot of kind of creepy,
Oh, it's got its
creepy
moments.
kind of feel, like a sort of Comlag 2+2+5 sort of thing.
This is the song that sounds the most like U2 on the album. So
really, it's very psychedelic.
Yeah, it sounds like the U2 out, like the work they do with Brian Eno, and then after him, so like the album Zooropa, songs Numb, Babyface, and Lemon. This song sounds so much like the U2 song Lemon, which is actually genuinely a really good song if you're in the mood for it. Like it's like this song. I've fallen in and out of love with it. If I'm feeling like kind of in a really fun, silly mood, I really like this. And if you're feeling serious, it's like go away. Like I mean, the lyrics.
That surprises me.
I think if
that's not the tone I get from this. I get a very much more creepy undertone from this song, quite sort of psychedelic and trippy.
Really, I feel like I'm at like a school disco.
Well, it has got a lot of 80s twists in it, to be fair.
I think it's the percussive element to it is so dancey and kind of fake sounding, and also like a lot of use of like hitting metal pipes type sounds. Do you get what I'm saying? You would never hear anything that kind of fun.
Yeah, I think maybe it's the psychedelic influences in the lyrics, especially that kind of distance it from that. The sort of talking about seeing the world through kaleidoscopes, which by the way is basically kaleidoscope eyes from
exactly.
Diamonds. Just putting it out there, might have been a thing. But he's talking about the inevitability of life and dreaming of paradise, his usual shtick,
Yeah.
But it's. I think that's probably where I find a bit of a weird contrast.
I don't think the lyrics in this are very good at all.
They're not great.
It's got the second worst moment. Lyric,
they don't feel like,
which is the somebody do and somebody don't.
Somebody will.
Oh,
yeah, I know,
but it's kind of bad. I think though, if you'd had if this
really know what I think
if this was on a Gorillaz album, and it was Damon Albarn doing that, it would rock because his thing is kind of like fun crap lyrics sometimes, like in Super Fast Jellyfish and stuff, but it just doesn't work like with what's being set up here. I think it's really cringy, but it comes across better because the music's doing that as well, because it all sounds so kind of insincere. It's fine.
I think there's a lot coming through on these songs that's essentially alluding to Ed does not have a tremendous vocal range when it comes to different styles.
He's really good at his falsetto, but he doesn't use it as much as I hoped he would.
There's a difference between having falsetto and being able to apply it well.
Yeah, but whenever he uses it, it is great. On this album.
I agree.
Like in Mass.
It's not used an awful lot.
It's used a lot in Mass.
Yeah.
And
true.
Yeah, I mean, I think basically what comes across in this album is basically exactly as probably you would have expected, which is he's an amazing musician, a good singer, and not a good lyricist. Like, that's it. I mean,
not brilliant, no.
Yeah, he's not bad all the time.
You got to think.
Sometimes he's
Tom
good.
York would come in for almost every song with the lyrics finished. And his only job would be to get a guitar part.
Exactly. So, I mean, if you're looking at
this is very much starting from the ground up.
Exactly. So, the things he's had the most experience in is still amazing. I mean, the music on this album, if you took... And this isn't me being... I don't mean this in a rude way. If you did take Ed's singing off of all of it, I mean, it would probably be better. but that's a crazy. Can I withdraw that claim? I'll withdraw that claim. I would definitely enjoy it more because the music is so good. Like,
I think it's very possible that the next album he makes will be more instrumental focused.
I think it should be because sometimes he sings and I think, you hit a nerve there, and then I think, please shut up now because you just did a good job. Like I think doesn't
there you
stop.
go. Then that you've said it. That that shouldn't mean the whole thing should be instrumental. I mean, you could do some song. Some of the songs that are a little bit more loud, a bit more raucous, like these ones. He could maybe sit out of it for the vocal sessions.
Well, I just wish he wasn't going. Somebody do and somebody don't. All our lives. It's so embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's
kind of Alex. It certainly reminds me of Alex Capranos.
Yes, but it doesn't work as well because the delivery. Yeah, but Alex Capranos would own that. Like
his voice works with it.
Well, because Alex Capranos sounds like he's laughing at himself, so it works. Whereas Ed O'Brien doesn't sound like he's laughing at himself, so it comes across very awkwardly. It's that kind of cool dad thing where he thinks he looks great in his vest and he doesn't. Like. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if we get past that, I still think the song's quite interesting. It's certainly not a bad song. The drums remind me of Keane in their song Untitled One. What else have I?
It's got a length issue. The song.
Yeah, but not as much.
It does.
It does, but not as much as the other ones because I think all the best. I mean, if it has a length issue, it's because it should lose the first 3 minutes and just be the rest of it.
It should lose. It's the whole thing. I wouldn't take any section out. I would just reduce all of it. It just needs some fat trimming.
Yeah, fair play.
It's not like because in Brazil, Brazil is a 2-part song.
Yeah.
Olympic isn't. Olympic is a constant pushing of a thing with layerings coming in and out of the place like your European Sun or something.
But tell me you weren't. Oh, European Sun's a good comparison actually. But tell me you weren't impressed by the guitar because the guitar stuff it's so fun. It's so Johnny Marr. And the edge. But
I could edit this to make it a 5-minute song.
Can you?
I can give it a go.
I'd really want to hear that.
Because it's got a consistent rhythm and from what I can tell, a fairly consistent chord progression.
The chorus,
a few sections in that regard.
Yeah,
I think it'd be pretty. I think it'd be pretty easy.
Oh, another really bad lyric is when he says, "Oh, it's just really awkward when he talks about like the greatest show." And I thought, oh wow, he's watching The Greatest Showman with his kids.
Well, again, The Greatest Show, that's meant to be just life, isn't it?
Yeah.
And his whole thing in this song is about, inevitability of life.
Or the Olympics. The Olympics are The Greatest Show.
Life in one go. Oh, Christ, okay.
And if you see, because the Olympics, and you see all of life there, don't you? Because you see all the world come together in one place. Maybe that's the imagery he's going for.
Yeah, maybe.
And
does he spell Olympic wrong here? Doesn't he?
He does, yeah. He does. But maybe that's why. Maybe it's how the Greeks spell it. Like I don't know. But maybe he.
What?
Like it sounds so celebratory. The whole thing sounds very celebratory. Like the kind of cheesy start, and then the kind of really fun, jazzed out end. Like Olympics actually genuinely a really good name for this song. I didn't realise until I started talking now. Like it really works.
Yeah, I still don't hear it to be honest. But
I'm so shocked. I don't know.
If it works for you, then that's good enough.
Yeah.
It's good
this has got the.
I'll trust your
This has got the bass highlights of the record. The
Ooh, okay. Yeah, they are pretty great. Shangri-La might have better ones.
What do you think of the bass on the album? Because he said in a lot of interviews his favourite thing about this album has been that he's playing a lot of bass. What do you think?
He said he's been learning it. I don't know if he's actually been the one in the recording studio with the bass, is he?
Okay, I'll have a look at that because that is quite important.
That'd be interesting to know.
Ed O'Brien. What was that? Personnel.
I've been pretty impressed with it, especially Shangri-La, Brazil, Olympic. I think that's the only one that really springs to mind. Unless unless those bits.
He's the bass player, by the way.
Right. Okay,
apart from oh my goodness, Colin Greenwood is playing bass on Brazil.
Shut up.
That's so cool.
Shout out to Colin.
Yeah, Colin.
We love you.
Yeah, well played. You weird guy.
One of the best bassists ever.
Yeah. Top 3.
Oh, that just makes me very happy.
That's so cool.
Oh wow.
It does have real like.
That explains it.
When it comes in,
so good.
It does have real like daydreaming vibes when it comes in.
Just more, a lot more faster tempo.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
Do you know what I mean? They're kind of simple. Dum, dum, dum,
yeah.
I
mean, awesome. Yeah.
But I mean, otherwise, Yeah,
Olympic doesn't stand out a lot, but I like its use on the album.
Crazy.
And the second half of the album does a very good job of alternating between soft and far essentially songs to balance it out.
I do
very very well executed. In that
far. So I'm actually surprised about your view on Olympic. I thought so. Your reaction to Banksters is what I thought your reaction to Olympic would be. I thought you'd love.
I do like Olympic a lot.
It's also got a very In Rainbow sounding the chorus. You know the bit where it sounds very U2, the harmonies, but it kind of goes to the minor chord progression. When you start taking the song a bit more seriously.
I think it's just for me. This is where the length problem is at its most evident, because even though it does a lot of nice layering, none of which at any point drops below being really great.
Yeah, it's all really
instrumentally, cool. But it doesn't develop. It doesn't change enough. It's incremental,
which is the problem with
a lot of ideas. It's a lot of ideas
from the last 3 minutes of Brazil. Is that?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's cool.
It does. But that's only 3 minutes. This is 8 minutes of that kind of thing. It feels kind of strange decision.
I don't know. Maybe I don't like the song that much. I think it's a mess.
No,
but I mean,
well, there you go. Then. But I mean, you do agree with me.
Yeah, it's not great. I don't think it's the worst thing on the album. I think it's the fourth worst thing. It's only just in the bottom half.
Yeah, I think it's fourth least good.
Yeah, because it's such a jam. I think it.
Yeah.
When I was gardening when I first got into the song, and it was just a jam. It's just yes, this is great, and he's not singing, and I can just listen to guitar. Great.
No, but again, it's got good energy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's very meant to be a celebration, isn't it? It's towards the end of the album. It's the last kind of high that it's having, and then it's obviously emphasized by the kind of studio sound of everyone talking and having a nice time at the end. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
And then should we wrap?
So can
Olympic up? Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts on the next one. I really want to hear your thoughts on the next one. Is that what you got?
So Cloak of the Night with Laura Marling is kind of a weird song to explain, because it's sort of, I mean, I kind of don't want to say this because I feel like if anyone listens to this, they won't be able to unhear it. It is the weirdest threesome between Dear Prudence, Falstaff, and Going to California.
So I have I've only got,
just get that out of the way.
I've only got four lines written down about the song. I've got barely any notes, and one of the notes is acoustic rhythm is the same as Dear Prudence.
It is Dear Prudence, Falstaff, especially in the middle section, and Going to California for the chord sequences.
By Led Zeppelin.
And the sort of nature of the ballads. I mean, people should know that. But Falstaff is by Radiohead, by the way, off In Rainbows. Very Ed O'Brien sort of song. Yeah. Actually, I don't even know if Ed O'Brien plays in that song now I think about it.
So maybe that was one of the ones he cried about not being on, like you said.
Mad. Maybe this is him getting back. Anyway, I think I want to get that out of the way, because that sounds a bit like a criticism, because I'm kind of saying it's not particularly original, which it isn't.
No, it's not.
But it's a really nice feature with Laura Marling. I don't really know who Laura Marling is. I feel sorry for saying that.
Laura,
I don't really know much about.
Laura Marling, do you want to have a quick tutorial on
that? Well, you tell me.
I didn't
fact
know.
Checker,
I didn't know who she was until.
No, I didn't.
But she's been releasing albums since 2008. I also found that she actually I keep coming up her featuring on stuff. She's on so much random stuff, and she's
like an industry insider.
She's obviously lovely. And she's on Noah and the Whale, Mumford & Sons.
Okay.
But her lyric, I don't know, her voice is great.
They have really good vocal chemistry.
They have great chemistry.
Ed's quite a softie,
so I was thinking when I heard this about the Justin Bieber Ed Sheeran thing.
God.
No, but we always talk about
it. Absolutely, which is the perfect example of when chemistry done shit.
Yeah, exactly. Or I mean, a kind of midway example of this is I don't know what the song is. It's Dancing with a Stranger. Sam Smith? Because that one's all right. But I've basically been thinking there's been no great duet apart from in rap music where everything's a duet. There hasn't been that many great duets outside of rap music for ages.
Okay.
And this is genuinely they are paired so well. If they were to announce that their next album was doing one together, I'd be up for that. I would expect it to be as good as this, if not better.
I'd love that so hard. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, no, this is and this is the real kind of Velvet Underground. Yeah. Lovely little song, kind of...
It's also got that same kind of... It's got a similar feel because it's kind of melancholy while also kind of happy. It's very paradoxical, the feeling.
Yeah.
The lyrics, they're very brief, are sort of... They feel a bit like they're prophesying the destruction of nature to me, which seems very apt for Ed. That may be me reading into it, but it feels a lot like what he's going on about in this album.
Still decent lyrics, like...
yeah, absolutely.
Like...
And they don't overstate... They're very, very concise. There's not very much singing in it. Partly because it's quite a short song.
Yeah, I think on my list, this is currently like third or fourth best on the album. Because it doesn't overstay its welcome. Everything in it works really well. There's just nothing bad about it. I have nothing to criticise. I've written here...
Not necessarily. But...
It's sexily elusive and so simple and concisely beautiful. I've now shared for you all my notes on Poker for Night.
Right, good. Yeah, okay, I agree it knows its own length, which is really good. And I agree, I also don't have very much bad to say about it. It doesn't impress me particularly. Excuse me, sorry, I had hiccups. It doesn't impress me particularly because it's not, apart from the vocal chemistry, it's an excellent album ender.
Yeah,
As a song, it's not particularly special, I don't think. But it ends off, all of his themes really nicely because his message to me seems very clearly to be, reconnect with nature, find your own path, all that kind of thing. And this is very much him saying, we're like I'm like the last person on earth who's doing this,
Yeah.
I'm the only person who understands. But it works well because, with Ed and Laura sing together, it's a very sort of bittersweet ending.
It feels so romantic.
So it resolves it really nicely.
In a very friend way, like a kind of friendly romance. It's not like I don't know how to say it.
Yeah,
it's just
it doesn't sound like a Randy Newman song, but but I know what you mean.
I don't know.
That would not go well.
It's that's what Banks is trying to do. I don't know. I think this. I think you will end up loving this song. I predict it. I do
really like it.
It's not a song that you can love because there's not enough there. But it's such a good nighttime song. If you go into your garden at night and you lie down and you listen to this, perfect.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, there's literally nothing bad about the song at all.
It's a very. Don't hate me for this. It's a very safe way to end the album.
Yeah.
And I don't actually mean that as a criticism because for a first album, that is absolutely the correct decision to make. And getting a really good feature on to make it feel a bit more different is a great idea.
Oh yeah, it's great.
I just have to reiterate that I'm not massively impressed by the song. That's the thing.
No, but
I really like it though.
No, but the great thing about it is how underwhelming it is. In like a really no, that's its power.
I'm not saying it's underwhelming.
No,
it's really hard to express
this. It's so low key. It sounds like the kind of song that would never get published because it would just be the kind of song between friends.
I kind of feel like it's the sort of song you'd expect to be an untitled thing that just happens at the end of the vinyl that isn't on there.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, this is here, this is cool.
It's a banger. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, no, I mean, okay, I agree. I think we actually completely agree. It's just really hard to express it.
Yeah. So shall we talk about the whole thing now?
Yeah. Can I just say one quick thing?
Yeah.
I mean, I have reiterated this many times, so I'm just going to finish off so we can stop saying it. This album has an extremely consistent feel and theming and tone, what else we're going to say about it, with a couple of little exceptions and bits. I think it has a really, consistent feel to it the whole way through.
Yeah, apart from one song, I agree. So
look, Banksters feels a little bit funny. I have explained why I think that it does. I'm going to say this once.
Sorry.
I've explained why it does actually make sense to the narrative of the album. A little bit weirdly, we could have done with a warning.
Yeah.
But, okay.
Yeah.
But I still think it fits in, okay? Jesus.
Fine.
But this is the main reason why I was saying earlier, I feel like he feels so much like the spiritual successor to George Harrison in the way he writes and all of his messages. And maybe I'm mad about that. I just feel like if they met each other, they'd be in love.
I think you're right.
Because they always talk about the same things.
I had not noticed it at all, and I'm really glad that you've pointed it out to me. Because really, what I'd come away with, to summarise, before talking to you, was this sounds an awful lot like U2. I'm very surprised. And
well, reconnecting with nature and the world and being, big about the environment is Bono's thing, albeit a little bit disingenuous, but still Bono's thing.
Yeah.
By
the way,
pay taxes, Bono.
Just quick side note, I've just noticed that so a lot of these songs on the album have actually been released as singles on Spotify anyway. I
think he did that just at the same time as when the album.
Yeah,
came
there's
out,
a 4-minute edit of Olympic, so that'll be interesting.
Is there?
Yes. So.
Oh, for Christ's sake! Well, I'm going to listen to that, and that's going to later.
Yeah, that'll be really.
We can discuss it. We can tweet whether we think it was better than the original, because I think it might be. Because that's perfect. That's halving the length. That's like exactly what I.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm just going to try. I'm trying to see if there's any other edits. If there are, we'll tweet about them. Also, can we just quickly discuss the album art, because we haven't mentioned it?
Yeah. I get, for very obvious reasons, I get some Dark Side of the Moon feelings in there. But what I think it looks like the most is kind of like a Northern Lights kind of thing, and the sort of reflections looking like the ocean. It feels very much the sort of Sail On. I feel like that would be the album artwork I would have made for it.
Yeah,
if I was going to.
I'm just trying to find out like where it's from or what it was.
What the art is?
Yeah.
You mean how they made it, or what it's meant to be?
Yeah.
I don't think it's meant to be anything.
But like all of the different artworks. So for the Brazil thing, and like all the different singles.
I would assume they're paintings.
It's so nice.
Or they might be photo montage.
I mean, it's a very thing for him to go to, like for him to go for. It's like, let's get
Olympic. Olympic looks like a kaleidoscope. Kaleidoscope eyes.
Oh yeah.
That's brilliant. Yeah. How did I not notice that?
He's just going for vibes. Anyway. It's all vibey, isn't it? Like that's what he loves.
It's very simplistic. It's very but colourful. But you'll note he uses a lot of natural colours and nothing else.
Yeah, true. And then on black, right? So
very much him. Yeah.
So
again, feels like nighttime, outdoorsy. Feels very consistent with what the album is, I think.
Yeah.
I think something I found, if I may move on very briefly, I expected, because of hearing Shangri-La on the upcoming sort of run to the album, I expected the album to be a lot more about places of pilgrimage than it was. I'm not saying it strayed an awful lot from that, but him talking about Shangri-La and Shia, and what was the other places he talked about? There was another place he talked about. I can't remember what it was. Oh, obviously Eden. He brings up. When does he bring up Eden?
He does. He does bring up Eden.
Yeah.
I can't remember when.
I think it's Brazil, and so I think those were the two songs that we had on the run up to it. So I was sort of, I'm not that I'm disappointed in it. I kind of expected that to be the thing. I suppose,
I think
it might feel a bit gimmicky if you just write all your songs.
Yeah, I guess so. I think we probably just expected there to be I would have expected there to be better translations of his ideas on the album.
Well, I expected it to be a bit smarter.
Yes, exactly.
For some reason, I expected it to be sort of intellectual. I was surprised that it was so relaxed.
Well, which sometimes is great and sometimes doesn't work. So sometimes, like in Brazil, the lyrics work because they're like that. And then some of the other songs. It
depends what you were wanting from it.
Exactly. Sometimes
no one
it doesn't
really
work
knew
because
what
it's too general.
No one really knows what Ed's thinking.
No.
When you look at him in the back with his weird pedals and with his weird shakers and stuff, you're like, what's going on in that noggin?
Oh.
And turns out it's all pretty, sort of nice. That's all.
Yeah. So can I just also just a quick side note? So people who are on the album, I've looked into it. So you've also got some. These are people like from the guitarist from Portishead, the drummer from Wilco, who are both they're both bands that like online. If you go on lists and if you like Radiohead, they're like classic bands you should like. Apparently.
Okay.
And then
I'll check them out.
So that's interesting. Also, it's produced by Flood. And Flood produced U2, some of their newest stuff. So, like, the album, one of the albums I said it sounded like. He also worked with 9 Inch Nails, New Order, which I think is...
9 Inch Nails?
Yeah, well, 9 Inch Nails and New Order...
For what? For banksters, I assume.
I don't know. Well, they're important. 9 Inch Nails, the guy from 9 Inch Nails, they had some... I don't know much about them, so I'm not going to pretend to. But what I do know is that they had, like, a kind of phase of kind of doing weird dance music and stuff, so it does kind of make sense. New Order makes sense. Depeche Mode makes sense. Depeche Mode makes a lot of sense with
Depeche Mode.
well, it makes a lot of sense with Shangri-La.
And
then
I was about to take the piss, but
and
actually,
then
no, it does make
people
sense.
like Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds as well, who did the Nick Cave did the
don't know them.
he does the music for a lot of films. He did the music for The Road, and that makes a lot of sense with songs like Sail On. And so does and it also, this is a guy who produced some stuff by Aha, but also Sigur Rós. Oh, I don't know how to say that, but they're like
Aha, that makes sense for some of the 80s vibes.
Exactly. Yeah, this a lot. I mean, it produced the Killers as well. And Sigur Rós are like the band that sound a lot like Parachutes before Parachutes.
Interesting.
So yeah, I mean, if you look at this guy, it's all here.
Okay.
Yeah, I just thought
Thing
I'd
it right.
that.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it's good. I kind of thought again because especially when he brought out Santa Teresa, it was just him and a guitar doing effects. I kind of thought that would be what the album would be. It would just be like him in a room sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I was pleasantly surprised to see that he took a fairly, I wouldn't say ballsy, but it's a fairly risky move to bring in new people completely because he's been so used to being in a band for that long.
But I think he wanted to separate it from that. He didn't want people to think of it as the same thing.
Yeah. But the thing is, I think my overall feelings are that it is a really great starting point. That is probably the best way I can phrase it.
I mean, it's the same.
It's time for him to get. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's exactly what you're going to be saying. I mean,
I think it's time for him to get experimental more. He had to learn these lessons to start off with bits that work and don't. Mainly in him as a frontman, as you were saying earlier.
That's his main weakness.
Frontmanship.
His identity as an individual rather than in a group, which is obviously why the McCartney comparison is so good. Even I don't think this is as good as McCartney, but this album certainly isn't.
But
I do
it's
like
very much. It feels so much like that.
Yeah, it seems it's the palate cleansing, isn't it?
Well, it's putting something on the blank sheet so that he knows where to go from. Because the thing is, like he said on many occasions that being in Radiohead meant that you had to nail your one little part to even get into the song. So now, as soon as he's a solo artist, I think this and this is maybe assuming too much, but it would be very much easier to be apathetic about doing that, which is probably why all the songs have a much more loose and relaxed feel to them.
Yeah,
and maybe why some of the things that we don't think work got through.
Well, it's the no filter thing, isn't it? It's why Lennon and McCartney were better together because they told each other when it was too bad.
Yeah, but if Tom were here, he'd probably leave within the first 2 days of recording. I imagine he'd get fed up with it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I mean, some of this, not all of it. I mean, Mass and Sail On, I imagine he'd like.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I mean, who's to say?
Yeah.
But it's so confusing because I mean, listening to this and then like listening to Anima, I'm like, why? When did you guys get to, where do these musical styles meet?
That's why that's why it's so good because it's the melting pot, isn't it? You want if you're in a band, you want every member to like different music and to be incredibly different.
I didn't know how much Ed loved acoustic music. Maybe that's new to him again because he spent time away. He's learned he's done stuff with the bass. Maybe all this acoustic stuff is fairly new to him.
I think
he doesn't do it. He doesn't play a lot of acoustic stuff.
It's
in
good
Radiohead.
for him to. No, it doesn't. It's just good for him to do stuff like this. Maybe it'll find its way into Radiohead. Because the problem bit is Radiohead. They're not officially disbanded or anything, so you're still waiting for the next Radiohead thing. So everything they do on their own, you kind of have to see one as a way of them getting certain things out of their system, which is good to do. But also, like we kind of said about Julian Casablancas and the Strokes and Albert Hammond Jr., but also it gives them time to develop things that they can bring into the next thing. So from the point
if there is a next thing.
So from any fan's point of view, you tend to think, no matter how much I like this, I will always like Radiohead better. So this is in service of that to some extent.
Well, I mean, I agree, and I would go one step further, and I would say Colin Greenwood. Make a fucking album now.
I bet it would bang.
I want you to make. I want Phil Sailway to do a just exclusively drumming album.
Yeah, well, Phil Sailway's done like a vocal album. It's really weird.
Oh no, I don't want to hear. I haven't heard that. And I don't want to hear him sing. I don't want to know what he sounds like. I don't remember what he sounds like.
I don't recommend it.
Like talking.
It's very awkward. Yeah. It's very like how I don't like some of this album. It's very like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Claim though. I think if anyone hasn't listened to Tomorrow's Modern Boxes, I think that's the best solo Radiohead album. I actually think that album is excellent.
Yeah, it will disturb you, however.
Yeah.
Like, it's important to say that.
You have to be like
it really will.
You have to have bought into Radiohead's bullshit language to
Especially early 2000s Radiohead.
Yeah, it's very on that kind of Kid A. It's kind of Kid A meets King of Limbs, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I feel like if you came into Radiohead around In Rainbows, then going back to Tomorrow's Modern Boxes is gonna kind of weird you out.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't ready for it until last week. I only really got into
No.
it last week. But
I haven't listened to it in a while, to be
It's
fair. I quite like to
great.
go back to it.
It's great.
Well, we're going to do an anima review at some point in the future. So when we do, we'll probably do a summary of his other stuff. So
Yeah, we will do that.
we will get around to it.
We'll get over it.
Right, I dare not ask this question, Tom. But this album, out of 10, what would you give it?
It's really tough because
Would you like me to say what I think it is?
You can if you want. Can I just quickly explain the dilemma I'm facing? So you can help me. So, to some extent, I think it's average in the grand scheme of music. But there's a lot of great stuff on it. So I feel like it is good. And the thing is, there is stuff on this that I will still listen to. And I am, especially now I've talked to you about it, I'm sure I'm glad it exists. Like I do. It's only like 3 songs on it that I don't really like. Maybe 4. But I mean, there's 5 that I do really like. It's because I'm thinking about other albums that we've given 6s. So, for example, AM is like one of that's a 6. It's a good album. It has a lot of problems, but there's a great EP on there. There's like a classic EP.
There is a problem with that comparison, however.
Yeah, that's the thing. I can't find a good comparative.
For a couple of
6.
reasons.
I can't find a good comparative 6 to say it's as good as that.
You need to find a debut album because the thing is, you can't be looking for cultural and musical relevance in a debut album, especially in the context of this one. I'm not just trying to be an apologist for it.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I feel like that's not a reasonable thing. The thing about AM that it suffers for the most
is contextual, partially.
It's contextual, and this album does not suffer. None of its problems are to do with the context.
No, I mean all of its problems are to do with lyrics and
execution
and execution of singing and
yeah. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay. What do you rate it?
I would rate it on the boundary. I am also not quite sure. It's on the boundary between a low 7 and a high 6.
Okay. Well, yeah, I don't think it's really good.
I would, if someone came up to me, especially if I knew they would like Radiohead. If you like Radiohead, definitely listen to this.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Because you will appreciate what Ed's contributions translate to in a solo context.
In which case, I mean, you put it that well.
And I think it's because it's not very Radioheady. He's very much doing his own thing.
No, but
much more so than Tom did.
That's what's nice about it.
Because Tom's thing was always going to sound like Radiohead.
It can't not.
Because he wrote pretty much all the songs.
Well, he sings, so.
Fundamentally, they're going to sound like the same sort of thing. So,
it's not.
Having said that, I think I would describe it as really good. It's got a lot of problems. None of which have upset me.
No, but most 7 out of 10s don't have that many problems.
Really?
Yes, most 7 out of 10s don't have that many problems. It's more just.
I don't think it's that many problems.
I think this is riddled
some songs
with
being a little bit. Really?
Yeah. I think half the album's not very good. I think half of it's great. And
right. Okay. I think that's an overreaction.
But I don't think, apart from maybe one song, there's nothing on the album that's above a 7. Apart from maybe
really?
One. Yeah, definitely not. Mass might.
See, I don't agree.
Mass might be an 8, and then everything else is 7 or below.
I think things that are above 7s are Shangri-La, Brazil, Ceylon. In terms of how much I like them, I would also put Banksters in there, but I'm not going to because I feel like you're going to jump through the roof if I mention that name.
I think those 3 songs you said are all 7s. The only reason they're not higher is because to be an excellent song, you've got to. Sail On is a better example of this than the other 2. It really knows what it's doing with the lyrics, but the other songs don't. Well, maybe Brazil does.
I think Brazil definitely. Brazil and Shangri-La do.
Maybe it does.
No,
maybe,
they do. They absolutely do. And Mass is not focused on its lyrics as well. It's a sonically driven song.
Yeah, but that's why it gets away with it. I mean, like...
Well, it's not getting away with it. It's not like the lyrics are bad, is it?
No, the lyrics are good. I mean,
You
but
know,
in
well,
Brazil...
well, there you go
in
then.
Brazil... Okay, so the reason Brazil can't be an ain't is because it's got 3 minutes, a song's worth of stuff that could not be there. So you can't...
But this is what I'm trying to say.
So it is not excellent. It's very good.
Okay, fine.
I can't be saying...
Fine.
There's nothing on this that comes near classic.
I think most things on this album are between sort of a mid-7 to sort of a mid to low 6. That to me is that's the bracket that this album sits in. Which is why it doesn't drop to the lower points that much for me, which is why I have it on the cusp of a high 6 to a low 7.
I'd probably go Shangri-La 7, Brazil 7, and then I'd go there's Deep Days and the City Girl song. What's it called? That thing.
What, Long Time Coming?
Yeah, they're both 5s. They're average music. And then Mass is like a properly great 7. Maybe an 8. And then Sail On. Oh, sorry, it's Banksters next, isn't it? Yeah, Banksters is a 4. Sail On is a 7. Olympics like a 5 or a 6. And then Cloak of the Night is like a really high 6. So, I mean, based on that, I'm going to... the only reason I don't want to give it a 6 and I want to give it a 5 is because there's 2 5s and a 4, in my opinion. If you were in my position and you believed that, would you still give it a 6 and not a 5? Because I mean,
I don't think I can empathise with it.
I think if
I sympathise for that matter.
I think if I averaged it out, I gave enough 7s and enough 5s for it to land on a 6. I'm giving it a 6. That's it.
My philosophy with rating albums that are new is that I don't jump straight to rating the songs individually. I can't. I don't think it's fair, to be honest with you. I need more time to get to grips with them, really, because they're still fairly fresh in my mind, to be honest. So I'm not gonna rate them individually. I don't think I can do that. My favourites though, my favourite 4 are Shangri-La, Brazil, Mass, and Banksters. Those are the ones that I will likely want to listen to at the future, but the other ones might not. I think the way you feel about the album appears to be fairly homogenous. So for you, it's either going to be every song your appreciation goes a bit up over time or goes a little bit down. I don't think your relative opinions on these songs is likely to change.
Okay, I mean, as a whole, I think it's a good release. I think if I think it's worth releasing, then it's a 6. I don't think 5s are worth releasing.
So you are saying this is worth releasing?
Yeah,
this was worth releasing.
Literally, apart from...
Because if you weren't, then we'd have a fucking problem.
Yeah, apart from 3 songs. If you knocked the 3 songs off, I'd give it probably... if you knocked 4 songs off, I'd give it a 7.
All right, okay.
Like,
I mean, that's...
It has the
slightly
problem.
Disproportionate response.
But no, it's just...
right.
I think you overrate it because you really like Radiohead. I think you
Not
like...
at all, because
I think you
this
like
album
it more
is
than
not
it's good.
very Radiohead.
No, but I think you're just so excited that Ed's done something good that you're giving it a higher rating than you should be.
I mean, really, what is it about what I've said before that indicates that?
It's when you said, if a Radiohead fan asked me, I'd say it was really good.
Well, okay, but that's just by virtue of the fact that he's a member of Radiohead. And the fact that he's done something different is interesting. I don't... The fact that he's in... You know, the Radiohead influences are... You know, they only really come in half the time.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to go for a low 6.
All right, cool. I'm going to go for a high 6. Well, if anyone feels like letting us know who's right, if either of us, we might not be right.
Yeah, splitting hairs.
Could be a 10, you know, fucking, who cares? I mean, for reference, it's like 1 a.m. right now, which for us old people is like, you know, it's way too late.
We've been talking for ages.
So...
I guess this is what happens when we hold it in too long and we don't talk to each other.
When 2 absolute titans meet.
Yeah.
Well, making us both seem normal sized.
Where did all the ratings go?
Yeah, exactly. This has been Outta 10. My goodness, that was a long episode, wasn't it? But joke's on you, it was your own time wasted. I apologise for our ridiculous arguments, and rest assured we'll be speaking to our respective therapists shortly. If you do fancy hearing some more pernickety nonsense, do leave a comment or follow our Twitter at Outta_10, or you can even send us an email to Outta10podcast@gmail.com. Either way, stay tuned for some more average quality content coming up. See you soon.
Right. Are we stopping recording?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. Oh.